Generally speaking, when it comes to sugar, most people understand that it's best to keep it as low as possible. And for the most part, global trends actually do suggest that average consumption of sugar has actually been on the decline. The same also goes for the country where I hail from, in Malaysia. In fact, take a look around, you'll notice more use of sugar-free beverages, utilizing sweeteners, sugar substitutes and whatnot instead of good old sugar or sucrose. But whether that's healthy or not, that's another video for another day. The World Health Organization suggests that when it comes to added sugar, the upper limit you should take in a day should not be more than 10% of your total caloric intake. That comes down to around 50 grams of added sugar per day. The World Health Organization and American Heart Association goes on to also say that if you want added health benefits, it's probably better to reduce that down further to 5% of your total caloric intake, basically about 25 grams of sugar per day or around 1.5 to 2.5 tablespoons per day. As it stands, many of us can attain to the maximum allowance recommendation when it comes to added sugar, but we still fall short when it comes to the more stringent 5% instead, which in relevant to today's context would be the better goal for many of us to look into. After all, when it comes to added sugar, while it provides energy in the form of nutrition, it differs from other foods in the sense that it doesn't have any vitamins, minerals, nothing. Zit. Nada. Dental caries aside, having excessive added sugar consistently among other factors can lead to a higher likelihood of weight gain or obesity, subsequently lead to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, and the list goes on. Now, very quickly, we're not talking about rice, pasta, fruits, or milk, but specifically just added sugar, or table sugar, or sucrose. I also want everyone to know that I'm not asking you to completely devoid yourself of sugar for today's video. And if you are that someone who has been taking very little sugar, your sugar intake is less than once a week, less than once a month, great job, keep it up. But I guess there's a majority of people that still add sugar to your tea and coffee. There's a majority of you to have boba and milk tea every now and then. Those of you who are trying to get healthier and still struggle with reducing your sugar in your day-to-day diet and lifestyle, then stay on because this video is for you. My name is Leonard. If you're here for the first time, thanks so much for checking in. I feature cooking, food and nutrition stuff here on this channel. If you like that kind of stuff, do stick around, and if you like the video, do consider subscribing. Without further ado, here are 3 tips on how to further reduce your sugar intake and how to have a better relationship with sugar. Tip number 1, review your food pantry and your food shopping habits. You are what you eat and you eat what you buy. One of the easiest ways you can reduce your sugar intake is to simply look at what you currently have in your pantry and ask yourself, when you go out buying stuff, is it on a list or is it because I was attracted to any of these products? For example, take a look at your fridge. If the top compartment is full of sweets, chocolates, similarly in the drawers, if it's full of cookies and candies, this really is a good place to start. Now, I'm not saying you can't have any of these items, but generally speaking, they should all be a limited resource in your household if you want to be nutritionally conscious. So one way you can really tackle your food pantry and prevent it from being a nutritional disaster in the first place is to make a food list when you go for your grocery shopping. By prioritizing your daily driver needs into a list itself, you put yourself into a position whereby you tend to get more whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, salt, and also by being a bit more conscious about the food labels within the products of choices, you can choose things that have lesser added sugar, you can choose things that have more nutrient density in terms of fiber, vitamins, minerals for every serving that is listed on the food product itself. This also then minimizes a lot of ad hoc or unplanned purchases, which is oftentimes the source of your cookies, candies as you check out. Now, you can still indulge in all the sugary stuff, don't get me wrong, but my recommendation is that if you want to be healthier, set a limit of how much that item is allowed in your pantry. For example, 1 bar of chocolate maximum in your pantry, and only replace it when that said item has been fully consumed. Not when it's going to be consumed, not when you're gonna maybe eat it tomorrow night, but only when it's finished, you are now able to only then buy it. But with that said, it also helps if you're not taking the chocolate and eating it every single night and replacing it the next day, if you get my drift. Tip number 2 is to customize, replace, and share your sugars. When it comes to added sugar, one of the most undeniable sources comes from beverages, be it from coffee, tea, boba. If you add sugar, condensed milk, or go for standard shop options, pay extra close attention. While it may work for others, for most of us, going cold turkey and having zero sugar right from the get-go may not necessarily be effective. Instead, you could look at gradually reducing it. You can always start by halving or adding less sugar to the beverages that you usually add sugar with to begin with. One of the greatest things you can also do is to request or opt for less sugar varieties in shops. For some people, having 0 or alternate sugar days helps as well. Now for me personally, when I started reducing my sugar intake, I actually opt for replacing many of the sweet stuff for others. So for example, when it came to condensed milk, I swapped it out for whole milk and evaporated milk in drinks, teas, coffees, sort. And when it came to eating out or having sugars outside, I tend to make sure that I wouldn't be eating them or drinking them unless I had someone to share them with. So I would opt for a less sugar version, and if I could, I would share it with someone else, either a colleague or a friend. Now, when it comes to sugar craving, it is almost undeniable that we will have them, especially during stressful situations here and there. So one of the things that I tell my patients and clients is to first and foremost admit and agree that you have those cravings when those things happen. The next thing to do is to wait it out for 10 minutes. Go have a cup of water, do work, do something else, but wait for 10 minutes and see if you still have that craving or not. If you do have that craving, go ahead, order a less sugar version if you can, but try to split it and have it with a friend, or perhaps have half of it first and have another half of it later in the day, or perhaps after a workout. Tip number 3, embrace and love sugar. Again, I hope this video doesn't get misconstrued as a signal to vilify sugar. Frankly, sugar makes food taste great. Desserts wouldn't be the same without them. For athletes before a performance or during a competition, sugar can serve as a last-minute energy boost in the form of an energy drink. The problem here really lies when they become too much of a commonplace in our day-to-day lives and affairs. So I hope if you're someone watching this video right now and you're trying to be healthy, that you don't leave this video feeling guilty, but rather feel more empowered and have a better relationship with sugar in your diet in the first place. The rule of thumb here is to, yes, generally reduce the amount of sugar you're taking in your daily affair. Treat it almost for something that is regarded as a special occasion with friends and family. And for some, they'll still want to take their coffee and tea with a quarter or a half teaspoon of sugar, and that's fine. For me, I've learned to kind of enjoy sugarless beverages these days. In fact, most of the time, I don't take any sugar at all. From a foodie's point of view, I just realized that it made my taste bud more sensitive to flavors. So things like coffee, you get to taste the nuances about hazelnut notes, citrus notes and things like that. And when it comes to enjoy desserts and things like that, I just find the whole experience to be a bit more intense. So I hope you found these tips to be somewhat helpful. Again, I hope this video empowers you to take at least a first step. And for those of you who are going to take that first step, what is your plan? Are you going to reduce your sugar in your drinks, cakes? What's it going to be? And for those of you who have reduced your sugar, let me know, did you go cold turkey or did you gradually reduce it first? If you enjoyed videos like this, do consider giving it a like, and if you like more content like this, do consider even subscribing. Until then, stay healthy and I'll see you next time.